loud things like Michael Bay, so if it gets too loud, you just tell me go like that and I'll lower it. And all right. Well, welcome. My name is Stan Smith. I'm running the final session of Candlekeep's A Dark and Creeping Darkness. A deep and creeping darkness. This is going to be a long one-shot. Unfortunately, it is in the book, so we try to make it a little easier so it doesn't last as long, but it's a good one. So, I'll be running this game today. Before we start the game, what I want to do is just going to go around the table, and people are just going to tell you who they are and who they're playing. So,
I'm CJ Sweeney. I'm playing Salt of the Sea. He's an Apache.
Okay.
I'm Adam, and I'm playing Alan of House Swan. He's a half-elf bard.
Awesome.
I'm Olivia. I'm playing Kyra. She's a human variant fighter.
Sir.
I'm Ken, and I'm playing a tiefling rogue, Ionis Antui is his name.
Awesome.
I'm Shane, and I'm playing Kobold, Sparky the Kobold.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. So, with that said, I hope you enjoy the stream, and make sure you tell everybody about the Strange Ropes on Twitch and YouTube and stuff like that. And also behind the scenes, we have Walter Ortiz. He's monitoring the chat, so if you have questions and stuff about the game or any future stuff, just chat away. So with that said, let's begin this awesome game called A Deep and Creeping Darkness. Okay. So, Candlekeep. Set atop a rocky cliff, overlooking the Sea of Swords, stands a massive tower surrounded by great ivory walls. Candlekeep is a destination of knowledge and tales of wonder. This walled city has endured the elements and centuries and the tests of time. But what truly makes Candlekeep special are the thousands upon thousands of books within its great hollow halls. Seekers of knowledge, maybe such as yourselves, travel from far and wide to come to Candlekeep to check out the many books, the journals, and fantastical publications. But what the city of Candlekeep has to do with all of you, that's pretty simple. This is a story that needs to be told, and fortunately, each of you are the main characters. So, prepare yourselves, adventurers, for you're about to partake in a very interesting story called A Deep and Creeping Darkness. Our adventure begins on a sunny afternoon as a horse-drawn carriage races along the sword coast towards the city of Candlekeep. Sitting inside this carriage, this modest carriage, are 5 strangers and their benefactor. It's a portly fellow. His name goes by the name of Jandar Barrister. Jandar is sitting quietly in the carriage and he appears to be taking notes with a pen that's a long feather. And he's writing in a book. And from what the strangers are sitting at, the book reads, The Brave Adventures of the New. So Jandar himself, he appears to be he's a modest-looking man in his 50s. He has pale skin, reddish hair, thick handlebar mustache. Mr. Barrister is also wearing a long brown jacket with a nice white dress shirt, and he usually wears these green suspenders and green pants. But what makes him more noticeable is his famous monocle he always wears in his eye. Yes, a little illustration so you guys have an idea. So every stranger in this carriage is here for a reason. They've all responded to Mr. Barrister, who put out several postings throughout villages asking for hired help. Apparently, you're all commissioned, each of you, to escort Mr. Barrister on a trip. He's provided very little information. However, you will find out more as this adventure continues. So all you know is that you're currently in a carriage with other strangers who hold the same contract in their hands, and you're heading to a city called Candlekeep. So, as you all look at each other, not really knowing one another, Jandar closes the book for a second, and he takes this pen and he puts it down, and his eyes scan all of inside this carriage. It's mid-morning. The curtains are keeping out the bright sun from flooding within the cabin. Jandar's eyes scan each of you, and he says, "Since you are all hired swords on my coin, you appear to be a quiet bunch. Nevertheless, this motley crew, since we'll be spending a lot more time together, I think we should get to know each other. And there's no better opportunity before we get to Candlekeep than this current moment." His eyes scan once again. He looks all of you. His eyes fall upon you. "You, sir, the house you are from, what name did they give to you?"
Salt of the Sea.
Can you please describe what your character looks like?
Salt of the Sea is an 8-foot pure white tabaxi with blue eyes, with a short sword and chainmail, with simple leathers. His shield has a hammer and thunderbolts on it, and he a little rowdy. He thinks it's really nice to go to bars and pal around, and is always looking for his next drink.
Okay. As you're saying this, he opens his book and he's jotting down notes in this novel. His eyes fall upon you. "And what do they call you?"
I'm Alan of House Swan.
Describe what you look like, please.
You look and you see a hooded figure sitting kind of into the shadows of the corner of the carriage. One of the most prominent features are 2 leather-bound cases at his feet on the floor between his ankles. He leans forward a little bit, and you catch in his eyes, in the hood, shining, you notice the eyes are 2 different colors, one gold, one light green. He's a human size, about medium height, and you see a slight disturbance on the hood on either side, that perhaps he might not be as human as he is trying to pull off.
Hey. You're a very odd one, but nevertheless, I'm pretty sure my coin will come out handy with your skill set. His eyes look past you and falls upon you. "So, what do they call you?"
I go by Kyra. That's all you need to know.
Hey, you guys get that little chill in the carriage. Can you describe what Kyra looks like?
So she looks kind of average looking, just like short, blonde hair, humanish. She has like a really long braid that drapes around her, and she carries a crossbow, always at the ready in her hand. She wears a pretty wide brimmed hat, so you can't always see her face.
All right. His eyes fall upon you, and he looks and says, "You, good fellow, look like you're handy with a weapon. Who are you?"
You can call me Ionis.
Describe what you look like, please.
I am a tiefling, gray, and gray with a bluish tint, very goldish looking eyes. You do see that I have a kind of like a uniform on, but it's leather, studded leather. You do see that there is on this side, there is a patch that kind of gives away what I am, but it's written in a different language. You do see it, there is a black cloak that I kind of formed it in more into like a jacket that has silver and a couple weapons on me that's kind of hidden.
He's writing down your information also in a book, as he did with the rest of you. And his eyes fall upon the strange little creature sitting next to him. "I do not judge, for my coin higher is the best, so I'm assuming you're here for a good reason for your skill set. What do they call you from the cave you crawled out of?"
Oh, I'm Sparky, the kobold of the Rainbow Clan. I'm looking for the Great Sky Driver. Have you seen him?
And what they see is a 3-foot tall and 1 inch, very particular on that 1 inch tall kobold with primarily gray scales, but light blue, lightning scar shaped, traveling from his right hand down through the rest of his body. His eyes are solid white light with sparks of energy as ivory horns dot his brow and head. Around his neck, he wears an orange sash. From his belt and a small cargo shorts dangle a small silver gem-encrusted hammer. His cargo bolts, as he's pretty jittery. He is all over the place. He probably has not sit still during this entire ride, looking out every window possible. And every time he moves, you hear pebbles and crystals and shiny stones jiggle about his cargo.
Awesome. Okay. And he finalizes the book, what he's writing in it. You guys do not know what he's actually writing. He closes this brown covered leather book, glances at everyone, smiles, and he says, well, since you've all explained your backstory and sense, I will tell you why I've hired all of you to join me on this mission, if you will. I represent a company called Precious Metal Mining. We run many mines for precious metals throughout the Sword Coast. There was one mine in particular my company was very interested in. It was called the Platinum Mine of Vermillion. You see, this mine allegedly had a horrible accident over 60 years ago. And from what I've been told, no other companies have harvested the mine since. So about 5 years ago, I've sent my brother Cedric to the town of Vermillion to check out the quality and the stability of this mine. But unfortunately, Cedric has yet to return any correspondence. It is unknown of his whereabouts, what is going on at the Vermillion, whether he shacked up with a woman or was killed by bandits. So my investors asked me to personally oversee what's going on with the future investment of this mine at Vermillion. I, of course, am not a warrior nor fighter, so hence I put these advertisements out and you've all responded, which makes me very happy that my hands will not get messy. But here's the kicker. There is rumor of mist and shadow surrounding the town of Vermillion. I, a man of intelligence, likes to find out as much information as possible before I head first into some type of activity. So, we are going to the city of Candlekeep. There is a book called A Deep and Creeping Darkness that was drafted by a traveling bard. Allegedly, in this book, it has important information that we can use to our advantage for if we do approach Vermillion and there is a sticky situation. Again, knowledge is power, he says. He reaches down and grabs a long pipe. He starts lighting and takes a few puffs. The smell of the pipe itself drifts past all of your nostrils. And it's pretty spicy, strong. Takes a few more puffs. And he looks over at all of you and he squints to look outside. One thing you must know about Candlekeep. They do not just let anyone look at their books, and in fact, they require a fee to look at a book. A book for a book. Then you see he holds up the book that says the Brave Adventures of the New. I'm going to give them this book with your stories in it. This will allow us to view the Deep and Creeping Darkness book for a very small amount of time. Minutes! I'm going to need all your assistance. We're all going to look through this book together and find clues, what we need to move forward. Let me do all the talking, because the Avowed, those are the disciples at Candlekeep that will meet us, they're a very particular bunch. I will do the talking, you just stand looking as good as you all do, and you looking like that. So, that is where we're headed. Getting information about Vermillion through that book, we can find my brother Cedric, his whereabouts, and eventually invest and move into this mine outside the Vermillion. Do you have any questions before we arrive this morning to Candlekeep? As I scan all of you.
Not really. Not really.
Excellent. Time is money, and it appears we're approaching Candlekeep as we speak. So, now, as the carriage begins to slow down about 30-40 minutes later, the smell of salt water, it grows very strong. Looking outside the carriage windows, you guys see that you're traveling along a peninsula, and it's flanked by sheer cliffs and crashing waves from the Sea of Swords. The carriage slows and suddenly comes to a stop. Now there's a shift of weight in the front of the carriage, indicative of somebody dismounting. The carriage door slowly opens outward, letting in sunlight. For a brief second, each of you squints because it's so bright. An older coachman with a black vest, worn cap, white shirt, stands looking in at all of you, smiles at Jander Barrister, and sort of steps to the side and goes back to the front to tend to the horses. Jandar grabs a cane, has the book under his arm, then he glances over, and he looks at you. Sir, take this book, and when the avowed asks for payment, present them, please. He gets up, he sees him fixing himself. Again, let me do all the talking. And he exits the carriage going outside. Everybody's exiting?
Yeah. Sparky's just running back and forth between the cliff sides.
Okay.
Never seen
Ears
so much
perk
water.
up and kind of stretches out and enjoys the sea, staring out a little bit longingly for a second, and joins the rest.
I'll wait until everybody else leaves, just like check around, make sure nobody left anything I can borrow, and then hop out.
I think they're pretty good. All right, so then watch your guys. All right, so after you guys, upon exiting the carriage, you're met by a strong oceanic breeze, right? From where you guys are standing on the peninsula, the Sea of Swords appears to go on forever. Reflections from the sun actually make every ripple appear like thousands of diamonds on the water. And as impressive as the Sea of Swords is, the walled city of Candlekeep before you is more wondrous. Massive white walls surround a large city at the end of this peninsula. Numerous small watchtowers peer over these walls. However, there is one massive watchtower that dwarfs them all in the center of the city. You also notice various people milling about the main gates of Candlekeep. A massive shadow from the sky is moving around the floor as you all glance up. There's a winged beast about good 50 feet in the sky.
Great sky dragon!
And at first you're startled and you're trying to figure out what it is. You're looking upward. The sun is too bright as you all squint trying to make out what type of beast this is. This will be our first roll. We're going to go around the table. We're going to do a nature check.
Eight, 13.
15.
14 is the magic number, so that. All right. Oh, so okay. You both immediately recognize this is a young female griffin that appears to be flying in an S-shaped motion above the main gates. Now, the main gates where you guys stand, they're pretty enormous. The gates of Candlekeeps, there's two of them. They're about 3 times the size of an actual human being. They're wrought with colorful stones pulsating with magic energy around its frame. Both doors of Candlekeep, they actually remain closed. You see lots of activity outside of people and carriages milling about. You see silhouettes of soldiers with spears peering over the walls, watching all of you, similar to this giant great beast that's flying above your heads. Near the large doors, there are strange people walking to and from groups of carriages and people, and they're all wearing these similar purple hooded vestments. One of these individuals starts approaching your party holding a black book. Jandar stands at attention. Again, let me do all the speaking. You notice this person in the purple vestments is a tiefling. Brownish red skin, long black horns that go upwards towards the sky. This tiefling produces a very large smile showing its yellowish teeth. The tiefling approaches the party. For I am Baru, the Avowed. Welcome to the walls of Candlekeep. This is a lovely party, but the great readers within the walls have told me of the seekers coming today to read this book. And he holds a book out in his hand like this. Do you have payment? When he says this, Jandar looks over at you.
I'm good. We're done.
Okay. Alright. When you hold it out, the book actually flies out of your hand and goes into the Avowed Baru's other hand. He holds on to it. The book called A Deep and Creeping Darkness, he holds this out, and it suddenly levitates from Baru's hands and goes upward towards the party. The book slowly opens up. Pages fly out one at a time in a circle motion around all of you, and slowly levitates. Baru takes a step back. You will have exactly 5 minutes to review the pages of the book. Enjoy, my seekers. And he sort of bows and steps backwards. Jandar quickly looks at all of you. Quickly, we must read the pages and analyze all information as possible. At that
Read?
moment, read! So each of you has a page that almost magically levitates right up to you. Okay, you're gonna get 2 down there.
Great thing.
And you get 1. And the pages are levitating, floating. And Jandar is stressing, okay, there are chapters. There are chapters starting with 1 and so forth. When we read those, everybody else listen carefully, for if we miss any clues, this could be a most troubling situation. Who has chapter 1? Good.
Chapter 1. Vermillion appears to be the town most of the refugees are coming from. Apparently, Vermillion is a mountainous village just outside a platinum mine, which employs most of the villagers. I need to find out why the refugees look so hopeless. Chapter 2.
Oh, you got chapter 2?
Yep. Well, according to this one chap, several years ago, there was a large explosion that rocked the platinum mine. By all accounts, the explosion collapsed the tunnels and buried hundreds of workers. Only 30 bodies were removed from the rubble. Numerous others have yet to be found.
Chapter 3. In the wake of the tragedy, another horror plagued this village. According to this florist, people began to disappear. Day and night, young and old, it mattered not. The villagers didn't even have time to bury all their dead. It appears something wicked is afoot within this village of Vermillion.
Luckily, Sparky learned how to read recently. Chapter 4. This young man, Lucas, poor soul, has lost his wife. Lucas came across a crudely drawn map of the platinum mine that has found in the hands of a dead goblin. Near the mine, Lucas quickly changed the topic to bring about the new tavern called the Board Weasel. Hopefully the town of Marion finds some better fortune than Vermillion did.
Okay. The kobold tries to read it, and it's pretty rough. Even Jandar is scratching his head. We may have to look back at that page, but our time is short. The Avowed will definitely return the books to his hands. Who has the next chapter?
Alan is staring up at the sky at the griffin kind of wistfully, and he feels the page kind of smack him in the face. And he comes back to us and says, after speaking with merchants and other travelers, they stopped visiting Vermillion years ago. Based on all accounts so far, the village of Vermillion still stands, but only fools would travel there. Something malevolent lurks in that village. There's only one way to find out. So one last chapter. Yes. This will be my last intro. This book, A Deep and Creeping Darkness. The title befitting of all the accounts from Vermillion. I leave this book with my granddaughter before I depart. I'm sure she'll get a kick out of the story. Something of it.
At that moment, all the pages move away from all of you, and they go back into this levitating book, into his spine. The book magically goes right back into the hands of Baru, the tiefling Avowed. He holds the book, and he puts that book to his chest with the other book that was painted just to review this. He smiles at all of you with his tiefling yellow teeth. His dark eyes glance at each of you, and he says, "Safe travelers. May Atma protect you all and provide you great stories to tell, for one day they can be in books within the great walls of Candlekeep." He steps back, he bows. Farewell, and he turns, and he heads back towards the main gates of Candlekeep. There's still activity, people to and fro, very similar seekers of knowledge such as yourselves throughout outside the main gates of Candlekeep. Jandar, sort of rubbing his large chin and his mustache, he walks over with the cane to all of you. "So, you look like a smart bunch. Where do we go next? What should we do?" he says.
Board Weasel.
Drinks would be good. Yes.
There was also a map. Map of mine. Always great things. Map's good.
Boyd Weasel. Where is the Boyd Weasel? Does anybody know? That sounds familiar, little one. You're not an attractive looking creature, but you do have some type of intelligence.
This kobold's smarter than all kobolds.
Very well, let us all get back into the carriage. We're off to a town called Vermillion, and maybe there we'll find this chap we're looking for who can give us information about the town of Vermillion.
But it did say only fools would travel there.
The weather's fine. It's a great day.
Based on my experience, I seriously doubt any of you will have anything to worry about. In fact, you'll probably not even have to withdraw your weapons. So, it should be pretty easy. Up to men, shall we? And he goes towards the carriage and goes inside. You guys ready?
With that, I probably would tug onto my weapons even tighter.
And with that said, everybody gets into the carriage, and we're going to head off to the town of Mayrin.
Witcher.
Weapon?
Witcher music.
Oh.
So, after about 2 hours, and it's late morning, you finally arrive to the town of Mayrin. It's nestled at the foot of a mountain range, and the town of Mayrin is actually the last bastion of civilization before the dismal climate of the woodlands that surround Vermillion. It's not large enough to be actually called a city, but Mayrin is busy enough with activity. It has shops and taverns and other establishments, and it makes it a great place to stop off for any fools that want to move forward towards Vermillion. There's also an open-air market in the town center, and there's vendors. They're trying to hawk and sell all sorts of goods. Now, Jandar's carriage actually stops adjacent to a large two-story tavern. A large wooden sign above the main door reads, "The Bored Weasel." From outside the tavern, it looks actually kind of delightful. It's well maintained. It's made of clay and wood tree trunks. Some banners flying out in the wind. It's difficult to see through the high windows what's going on inside, but you can clearly hear the faint sound of voices and music. Looking at the main doors, you see people coming and going out of this tavern, all happy, patting each other on the backs. Everyone looks like they're having a great time. Jandar pulls the curtain back after seeing all this, lets it go, and he looks over at the party. I am not a drinking man, nor am I a person who likes social activity this early in the morning. If you all can please go into this tavern and find out any information, I'll wait out here with the coachman for you all.
So just get up to, okay, I can do this.
The carriage sort of rocks back and forth because of his large size.
He reaches down, he looks down at Sparky, he's like, "Your storm, let's go."
Are you touching me?
He pats you on. He gives you a little pat on the back.
As soon as you pat me, you feel a little tingle, like a little shock. Not enough to do anything.
No, he pays no mind. He's used to he's used to storms and lightning. He's spared quite a few.
Okay, so everyone's gonna exit?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to the Bored Weasel. As you enter the tavern through the main doors, you're welcomed by friendly chatter, delightful music, and the amazing sense of diverse foods. Smoked meat and strong ale. Behind the main bar, you notice there's an old black man. He has a poof of white hair on top of his head, almost like a rabbit's tail, and he's working frantically, wiping down tables, putting up drinks and food trays for some of the maidens that are serving the other patrons sitting about this tavern. Though this older man is very busy at work, he actually stops and glances over at the main doors and makes eye contact with each of you. As he does, with a nice, gentle smile, he raises his hand and gestures for you all to approach the main bar.
Zip on over. Pass their legs and their tables.
I walk through and follow the little kobold.
I start going in the direction of the music. I catch out of the corner of my eye him beckoning us over. I shake my head a little bit, grimace, and turn and walk back toward the bar.
All right, cool.
I'm gonna completely ignore him, look around, and make sure that no one's looking at me, and then kind of dip off to the corner.
All right, make a perception roll, please.
5.
You're very cautiously looking at the crowds of people. First thing you pick up on is everyone's having a great time. Even though you're a stranger, the eyes that fall on you are with big smiles and waves. You see people laughing and talking amongst each other, sharing drinks and clanking glasses. Everyone's having a good time. The ceiling is sort of covered with a haze of smoke from a lot of the pipes and smoke. That doesn't bother you. But you, who you are, you're staying ever vigilant in the corner of the room.
On my way over, do I see any scraps on the floor that fall under the tables?
Yes, there are some crumbs and scraps.
I pick up whatever I can,
Excellent.
right down the wall.
Okay. So As the rest of you, 1, 2, 3, 4, you approach the main bar. Lucas appears to be in his mid to late 70s, but he's a healthy man and he's slender and he's been working a lot. As you approach the bar, he takes an ale-soaked rag and he starts wiping the main bar and he starts placing wooden mugs in front of all 4 of you. He smiles. Welcome, strangers, to the Board Weasel. I'm Lucas. He grabs a large pitcher filled with ale and he starts pouring it one by one into all the mugs. The ale raises to the top and suddenly the froth starts spilling down the sides and he stops. He places the mug down as you guys get your beer from the ale. Since y'all strangers and may rent in my establishment, the first round is on me, my friends, because the idea is you walk in strangers and we leave as friends.
This man knows what he's talking about.
He reaches down and he's grabbing some other items and other glasses and he's wiping down the glasses. So what brings y'all to my establishment, he says.
Sparky is down and like he is ball deep.
As he's going, I'm also with him, pat him on the back, and just finish and put it down. So, hey.
I'm hiding back in my hood, and as I see the tankard set down in front of me and filled, I reach into my cloak and I pull out a flask, and unscrew the flask, and look down at him and look down at the tankard, look up at him, and just nod.
Okay.
Information mainly is what we're looking for.
What type of information you looking for, young man?
As he says that, I'm gonna like walk towards so I can hear them.
His eyes fall on you, somewhat sort of cloudy, yellowish around the sides, an older gentleman. He puts a big, genuine smile as he sees you. He puts up a mug and he slides the mug in front of you. Not sure if you can hold your liquor, but here you go, it's on the house. And he starts pouring ale, filling it up to you. Yeah.
Thank you. I don't touch it.
All right.
Looking for information about a mine.
A mine? He sort of looks at you. What mine you talking about, young man?
I'm not too sure about it, to be honest. It's all fairy tales, to be honest.
Sparky wipes his mouth and he's like, a platinum mine. We're looking for a map. You got a map?
He goes, platinum mine? Where are you finding a platinum mine? And it's sort of, you can get that he sort of has an idea what you're talking about, but he doesn't want to say it.
And I'm going to do this in thieves' cans, but I'm going to do minor illusion and spell out the word in Vermillion on where he stands at.
Right at the bar?
Like right.
Okay. Explain how it looks.
You can see practically like a area of like a mountain area, and then like you'll see like areas like kind of goes into a mine area that collapsed.
You do that, and his eyes get really wide, and you almost see a look of sheer terror in his eyes. And he says very quietly, Vermillion! And in that moment, even though he said it quietly, the entire tavern gets quiet. You sort of look in the corner of your eye, looking around. Everyone seems to no longer be having a good time. Slowly drinking, looking scared as if some cursed word was said within this tavern.
Is it me? Do I smell? I smell, don't I?
A little bit. Just a little bit.
That Vermillion is a cursed place. Y'all should not be even speaking of that in my tavern establishment. I don't really speak about that much. In fact, I only trust those who can hold their liquor.
Well, we're going there, whether or not you threaten us. Any information you can give us would be helpful.
Make a persuasion roll, please.
20.
His eyes fall upon you and he stares at you, contemplating his next words. Because he knows he has to choose them carefully. Well, young man, since y'all want information about a place I won't speak, I'll only give it to one of y'all who can hold your liquor, because that's the person I can trust. So, he reaches down and he grabs these shot glasses and he starts putting these glasses in front of all of you.
You're actually going to get liquor because that's going to be fun.
Absolutely.
So, I'm going to give you some of the strongest liquor the Board Weasel has. We're going to play a drinking game. And the last one standing in your crew is the person I'll entertain with conversation, but I can't promise I'll tell you everything. Are you fine with this agreement? He says.
Capital.
I'm always down for a good drink.
I'm up for it.
Very well, he says at the top of his voice. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got our first contestants for Last Man Standing. He reaches down and grabs a very tall, thin bottle of some type of strong alcohol. He pops a cork and he begins to pour alcohol into all your shot glasses. This is how it's going to work. Take the 20-sided dice, put it inside the cup. We're going to do one round at a time. You can use your Constitution modifier. This is how it works. First round, you're going to hold it up. Cheers! And you're going to take and go down. Okay? And then, one by one, you're going to lift it. Whoever rolls a 1, you out. You can't handle the alcohol. Then we're going to go to the second round. And we're going to keep doing it until there's one man standing. So, he holds up his banner. Last man standing! Wait, good. One at a time, starting with you. Good. Nope, good. 13 plus. Ooh, so we're going to the second round. Second round. Look this up. He goes and pours and fills up all your glasses. Ready? Down. One at a time. Second round. Go. Ooh, almost. Go. 13. One at a time. 14 plus 13. All right. Then go to the third round. Again, don't lift up your cup until it's your turn. Hey. Third round. Hold it up. Go. 3 and under, you're out. 17. Go. 12 plus 3. You're good.
9.
Good. 15 plus 2. Ooh, damn close. He closes it around. Fourth round of drinks. Fourth round. Go. Now, I know at this moment, the people that were sort of shocked and concerned, all the patrons are gathering around you guys like a giant half circle, cheering and watching the strangers partaking in this traditional drinking game. Go. 4 and under, you're out. Good. Good. I can't see you guys. Good. 18 plus 2. Good. Oh, the curveball just falls over. Boom! Hits the ground. Everyone starts cheering once the curveball hits the ground. Ready? We're gonna go to round number 5. He pours the drinks. Go. Starting with you. Ooh, 18. You're holding your liquor.
12.
Okay.
18.
4. Oh, and he falls out. And he falls. Okay. You're out. Another person moves to the side. You guys are kind of wheezy and your heads are spinning. And now there's only 3 strong drinking party members. This is 6. All right, let's go, ladies and gentlemen. 6 rounds of drinking. I didn't know that, man. 2. Oh, no. She's out. And the audience. So right now there's only two customers left. Here we go. He starts pouring a drink. Who is going to be the strongest drinker in the party? Go. Start. Oh, let's see what we got.
20 with the con.
All right. And you can't handle the liquor, but you, suddenly everyone gets up and starts to cheer. Celebrating some pats on your back, you feel good about yourself. You glance over at the rest of your party, you notice all of them are glazy eyed, and just looking around. They seem like they have hangovers, but you truly know when it comes to alcohol, you, my friend, are top notch.
Years of practice, years of practice.
The cobalt pukes.
Very rare people out there.
I've seen you puke.
He's just like, first times forever.
Starts making rounds like
Okay, Lucas leans over closer towards you. And goes, you, my friend, or somebody I can have a conversation with.
I have that kind of face.
What can I do for you? And he takes and he pours more alcohol into your little cup.
And thank you. We need information. We're headed to Vermillion, as I said before. And while I appreciate the warning and the drinks, we are contracted to go and must go. However, we'd like as much information as possible before we go. Is there a map, Pantella, you could provide?
He stares at you for a second, a little longer than a second, but to you it feels like an eternity. His eyes lock onto yours. I found a map a long time ago when I left Vermillion. I let you look at it, but you can't keep it. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Now you can take a picture with your phone. And he sort of slides over this square piece of leather. It's old, and it seems to have some type of map design or drawing burnt into it. Now the rest of you guys, if you want, he's passing around. You guys, if you have your phones out, you can take a picture of it because this may or may not come in handy later on.
I'm gonna look at it in minor illusion in my mind.
There you go. That's what he did.
I quickly pull out parchment and draw it out as quickly as I can.
Excellent. It's been a long time since I was able to even bring that map out. 60 years ago to the day, I remember leaving Vermillion after that explosion over in the mines.
Was it the explosion that sent you on your journey, or something that happened subsequent to it?
He sort of stares past you and stares off into the distance, reminiscing about something that brings him great pain.
One of my eyes, the golden one, follows the direction that he's staring past me. The green one stares straight at him.
It brings me pain when I think about her beauty. My wife, Lorna. Lorna is everything to me, it was. You don't know true love, my friend, until you have somebody where they're the last thing you see before you close your eyes at night, and the first thing you think about when you open up your eyes in the morning.
I know the feeling, sir.
My poor wife, she worked in the mines. There was an explosion. She was one of the many victims who died within that mine. I was fortunate, for her body was one of the few that they were able to bring out. I since buried my wife in Vermillion, and since I have no other reason to stay, I started to leave. I love my wife dearly, and it brings me great shame to admit to y'all that I haven't had a chance to visit her. If you are going to Vermillion, and if that graveyard still stands, you would honor me as placing flowers on my wife's grave. She was my everything. There's a florist outside. She may be able to give you some flowers on the cheap. Also, my wife, she had a necklace of hers. It was blessed by the god Lyris. It was something I'd given to her a long time ago, and I couldn't bear burying it with her. Since my wife loves nature, there was a beautiful tree in the middle of the cemetery. I placed it inside a hollowed knot in that tree, tucked away. Y'all can find that necklace, bring it back to me. I'll be a grateful man.
What kind of flowers does she like?
My wife loved sunflowers. They reminded her of the morning sun. That's actually the time of day we both met each other. I wait every day for death's embrace so I could be with my beloved Lorna again. But I must stay strong, because that's something she'd want. So like many other refugees, I left Vermillion over 60 years ago. There was rumors of people missing in that town. More and more refugees left Vermillion and settled here at Mayrin. I like y'all, and I appreciate what you can do with the flowers, but I'll tell you this much since we're friends now. My heart goes out to all y'all, because I have a feeling this may be the last time poor Lucas ever lays eyes upon me. Any other questions?
Salt will reach out, put her hand on his shoulder, and be like, and he said to him, I shall say a prayer for you and your wife to the Lord.
He smiles at you. I'm all for praise, my big friend. I'm all for praise. Calmly, he steps back and he takes the map and he puts it up on a counter, places it, turns back to all of you. There's nothing else I can do for you all. May the gods watch over you. Vermillion is a place where I couldn't even bring myself to be going. Good luck.
Yes. Alan reaches out and puts his hand on his shoulder. He's wearing a green silk glove on his right hand. He squeezes his shoulders and leans and says, normally I'm not one for sentiments, but your story has moved. If I do survive, I will bring you back with us.
And if you do survive, I will no longer call you friend, I will call you brother. And with the other hand, he places it on your shoulder. And it's a little quick embracing moment that touches all of you as he sees this. He takes his gentle old hand off of you. I have an establishment to run. Peace be with you, he says. He turns and he starts working behind the counter.
So I'll also leave it going on the table and said, for the next round when we come back.
Please mark that off with you. So at this juncture, are we going to head outside? Collectively? Stumble out?
Stumble, hitting.
And you guys are really impressed with him because, you know, he just was guzzling down strong alcohol like nobody's business. So
I strut through the room waving.
and as you hold your hand up, almost like a celebrity, everyone starts to cheer.
As we walk by the band, I pull out a gold piece and put it to the band.
And they take it, snatch it up very happily. Please mark that off.
Salt will drag it behind for a second, contemplating into the drinks, but seeing everybody else leaving, he will sigh a little bit and start walking.
I didn't finish up the rest of this.
Thank you.
Seeing them tip the barkeep and tip the band, I'm gonna reach in my pocket, bring out a little gemstone, and just toss it.
What's the value of it? So we'll say 10 gold pieces for the gemstone.
Okay.
I'm just gonna tip with my hat and walk out.
Ooh. Nice.
I turn and look at the kobold as he does that and I said, handsome tip. You can come with me anytime, anywhere. So.
You want to help me find the Great Sky Dragon?
Sure.
Yes, friends.
Alright, so at that moment, everyone steps outside back into the town of Mayrin. Now the streets at this time of day, it's late morning, probably like 11:15. Though not as busy when you first arrived, but still people walking to and fro as you sort of scan about the main square. One individual does catch all of your attention. You see an older woman with pale skin, shoulder-length reddish hair with a gray streak, and she's standing by a makeshift wooden cart filled with all sorts of flowers. Her cloudy blue eyes actually look into the direction of your party as you step out because you are strangers to her. And with a very soft, gentle smile, she produces that to all of you. She holds up a tiny dandelion in her hand and sort of gestures to show her card to all of you and steps back.
Hello.
You guys come aboard? Right. And as you start approaching, she tries to muster up dignity about herself and sort of trying to fix her hair. And when she does that, you notice her ears are somewhat pointy. Make a history check, please. History. With advantage. And the DC is 10.
So 6 plus 0, so let's do it again. That's a 14.
You immediately pick up that she is actually a half-elf. The rest of you approaching this cart, that you immediately not assaulted, but hit by the strong smell of lavender and flowers. She smiles at all of you. Great mornings to you all, for I am Astra Vaughn, and this is my flower cart. How may I be of service to you all? She says. She smiles and glances at all of you.
Hello, Astria. What type of flowers do you have available?
Oh, I have all arrangements that you may be looking for. I have roses, dandelions, willows, sunflowers.
Sunflowers. That's something that I would be actually interested in.
Well, lucky for you, I'm in a generous mood and offer discounts to all of those. Now, she seems older, almost the same age as Lucas. So she reaches down and she grabs a nice cloth and lays it on top of the cart. You see her grab several really pretty and brightly yellow sunflowers. She's clipping the ends and she starts wrapping it up. So what brings you all to Mayrin, she says, as she's tying it up.
We're doing a favor for a friend and places the flowers. So, and also going to explore the town further past in the woods.
She sort of stops and she looks over at you, and her eyes sort of squint. Do you speak of Vermillion?
I assume so.
She does the tightens up the knot. She slides it over to you. She looks back over at you. I am not one to budge, but why do you need to go to that god-forsaken place?
I am just looking to pay for my next drink and have an adventure.
Judging from the way you all look, I'm pretty sure you can handle yourselves. But know this, strangers, those who went to Vermillion have not returned. It would bring me great pain to meet such beautiful people as yourselves to never see you again. I was once from there. I was younger. About 50, 60 years ago, there was a massive explosion within one of the new mines. My mother, Leah Vorn, she's the mayor of Vermillion. She started telling me stories about children and adults disappearing after the explosion. She was so concerned for my safety, she had me leave with the other refugees, and I was brought to this town. I have not heard from my mother since. If you do go to that town, I would be honored if you to find any information on my mother's fate. She has the largest house at the end of the main street. It's the only two-story structure within Vermillion. I am a realist, for I know all you will find are her remains, and if so, my mother had a ring that is important to my family. If you could please retrieve it for me. She sort of holds up her hand, and she shows you a platinum ring, and it's embossed with a snowdrop blossom. It looks similar to this ring.
I step up to her and I ask, do you have anything to help us on our journey as we're doing this for you?
You make a persuasion roll with advantage, and the number is 12.
12.
Shit, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
10 plus 2.
Yes, I do, young lady. That reminds me. And she goes behind the counter. She pulls up a glass vial with a reddish purple liquid in it. It has a cork. She sort of slides it over to you. This is goodberry nectar. Plants love this, but weeds and fungus hate this. If you see overgrown areas that are encroaching upon my family or any place else, allow that nectar to help the flowers survive and destroy the weeds around it. All you guys make an intelligence roll. Nature, or intelligence.
7.
No.
Nature?
12.
12 you need it, DC, sorry.
12.
Nice.
You said nature, right?
Yes.
That is... I'm gonna say 12.
Alright, so on the studies book you have, as she mentioned this, you know that goodberry is a nectar that it's a very special liquid that once the cork is removed and it hits air, the liquid turns into a gas form, a very heavy gas form, and slowly spreads covers about a 20-foot radius to the ground. And it settles into the weeds and feeds the plants, that kind of stuff. Okay? You guys know that for a fact. So if that cork comes out, you gotta quickly pour it out and let it just in there, or throw it somewhere and let it just spread out as a gaseous form. Astra, after she gives that to you, and you guys have an idea what it is. If there's anything else you need while you're in Mayrin, florist-wise, I am an excellent botanist. Come see me. May the gods watch over all of you and find you safely to your families, she says.
I lean in kind of close to the point where, just so she can see it, the hood slips back a little bit and she can see my ears are pointed. I look at her and say, do you have any lilacs by chance?
Make a persuasion roll. And that would be a 14 or higher.
24.
Nice. My brethren, why do you need such?
Personal reasons.
I'm gonna do a check. If I get 10 and higher, course, my dumb dice, it's a 9 or 6. He said, I do not have any on me, my child. Come check with me in a few days, and I'll make sure to obtain some for you.
Thank you, thank you. We will be back. Is there anything else you might be able to tell us about the town?
Rumor of mist and shadow, my brethren. She sort of leans up close to you, almost like to kiss. She's going to kiss you. Her cheek comes close to yours, and she whispers in your ear, watch out for the others. I have bad omens about all of your party. Watch out for them. And she sort of goes back. Now, the rest of you don't hear what she says as she whispers to him because it was similar.
He looks down and Sparky's just like.
He kind of leans in and says, I'm picking up that as well.
I'm gonna step up and grab at one of the roses and say, how much for one of these?
For you, my darling dear, nothing.
Okay, thanks.
Okay,
And then
so-
I throw it into my braid.
Okay, you see her doing that also.
I like to have my hands free, you know, for other things.
It's about maybe it's almost in the afternoon, and are you ready to head off?
Is there anything else we need in town before we leave?
What other shops are here? Like
Typical shops you'd find in any other establishment. Nothing, no magic shops or anything like that.
Okay.
You guys seem pretty stocked with what I saw from yourself, so I don't really think there's a need for you to go.
Nobody looks sketchy or pickpocket worthy.
No, ma'am. This town, everyone's happy.
Okay.
Until you mention Vermillion, and everyone fucking goes crazy.
Is there like a shrine or something?
No, no shrine in this town. So, you gather up and you see over at the main carriage, Jandar standing by one of the large horses. There are 2 large horses in front of the carriage. There's an older gentleman, a coachman, sort of almost like he's sleeping over at the top of the front of the carriage, holding onto the reins. Jandar, with his cane, sort of walks over to all of you very triumphantly. So, I'm pretty sure we have very good information. What do we know?
Minor allusion to map, like on the ground as
Okay.
we're talking, as he's talking to all of us to showcase that we get find a map.
My God, I knew my coin was going to be well spent. Excellent. This was probably the map that we heard about at Candlekeep in that text about the goblin's hands. What do you make of this map?
Well, when they said that we're fools to even go here, and then the reaction of the crowd tells people something's really up with this place.
I think we'll be fine. I don't believe in superstition, and besides, with all of you, it's easy money. We're going to go to Vermillion, find out what happened to my brother, check the status of the mine, and we go home. Knowledge, new contracts, and you all get shiny coin.
But I do got one question for you. What happens, or how would you feel if you find out that your brother may have been a part of these?
Poppycock, my brother would not be a part of any madness or rumor. And besides, my brother just went there 5 years ago. The explosion that we heard about was over 60-something years ago.
Quick question. Given I'm from the caves and also have this the urban infrastructure thing that where if I look at blueprints, I can. Looking at this map, is there anything that like stands out necessarily other than like?
I would like you to make a history check or a nature check, whichever's higher for you.
That's
D10, DC.
Okay, that is a 19.
Based on interactions you've had with goblins, this map was definitely drawn or designed by a goblin. Normally, goblins are very particular and they document everything in their tunnels and caves and dungeons. You know for a fact, if the goblins mark anything on a map with a giant X, it's not that's where the treasure is. It is something that the goblins would dare not go forward to.
Okay, so I share that. I was like, this is made by goblins. They're inferior to kobolds, just so everyone knows. And that X is where they will not go, most definitely.
Sounds like we should go.
It looks like the question marks on there is probably areas they may never been to before.
Possibly. That's what
Something.
We should also post caution where there are skulls, probably death.
I see
As a weight.
Or a trap.
Jandar says, though I doubt we'll have any problems or concerns, I still don't want to be out in the wilderness in the dark. So let us be off to this town and make haste. This way we'll be back in time to enjoy supper and our future exploits together. Huzzah! he says, and he turns around and he opens up the carriage and he goes in and the carriage sort of rocks back and forth as he goes inside. You guys ready?
Salt stops at the door and says, I do have one request. There's a graveyard we need to visit. We've been asked by a friend to lay some flowers at a grave. So say a prayer.
Make a persuasion roll. Jandar 10, 12. What are these? 14. Okay. All right. So, normally I would say no, that we do not have the time, but if we make haste, you will have an opportunity to visit anywhere you'd like in Vermillion. Huzzah! He says, and he goes and says, let's go! You guys ready?
I kind of turn and look at Ionis and say, that's a neat trick with the map on the ground. I don't quite trust our benefactor. What are your thoughts?
There's a lot of passive perception. But I'm in the same boat as you.
I love the dice, they're pretty. Yeah, Chandler does not hear this conversation, so. Alright, so. If nothing else, the carriage with all you on it takes off and starts heading north towards this strange and mysterious town called Vermillion. With that said, we're going to take our first break. I have to set up a set piece, so I'm going to ask you guys to step outside, get some fresh drinks, stretch your legs, and then I'll come out and get all of you to bring you back in. So this will be about a good 15 minutes or something. You can press pause, Walter. We'll be right back.